Trojan football is back home this week, and the team's looking forward to forgetting that 0-2 road trip.
That's right, Aaron. The team is ready to bounce back. Sports Scene starts now.
And wow, it's been quite a summer, but we welcome you back to the luxurious Annenberg Media Center for a new season of Sports Scene. I'm Aaron Glazer.
And I'm Amy McCray. Starting out 1-2 is not what USC football wanted, so this week's focus is getting back to basics. Washington State is having a great start to their season. The Cougars are currently undefeated. So far this season, they've beaten Wyoming, Washington State, and Eastern Washington. They are led by Gardner Minshew, who has helped the team dominate so far this season. USC and the Huskies will face off on Friday night at the Coliseum. In order to get the win, the Trojans need to have their offense right. Freshman quarterback JT Daniels was hailed a warrior by head coach Clay Helton, and he will need to be on great form come Friday. He is up against seasoned vet in Gardner Minshew.
Now, JT Daniels has been connecting well with Amon-Ra St. Brown. The two have played together for years at Mater Dei High School, but in order for the current Trojan team to succeed, it's the entire offense. It needs to gel a little bit more than what they've done so far. So we here spoke to a few offensive stars about how the Trojans are hoping to execute on Friday night.
I can get better at things. I think just assignments. Trying to run every route as crisp as you can. I mean, blocking, catching, everything. Just getting better in all facets.
Every little area that we didn't capitalize on in these last two games that we lost, and just keep getting better for the next team.
Being here before, we just gotta keep going. You know, we can't let that start, this 1-2 start, bother us. We just gotta keep getting better and keep going.
The Trojans have been battling injuries, so let's check in with Alexandra for an updated report.
Thanks, Amy. Coach Helton had an extensive list of injuries at practice last night. Notable players include sophomore kicker Chase McGrath and sophomore safety Isaiah Polomau. Chase McGrath tore his ACL and is now out for the rest of the season. It happened during the game against Texas on Saturday when he was trying to stop a kick return. This kind of injury can happen when you try to pivot and your upper leg rotates, but your lower leg and your foot stay planted. McGrath tore his ACL, which is a ligament that helps hold together the thigh bone and the shin bone, and he's going to need surgery to repair it. The recovery time is usually 6 to 9 months, so even though he won't be playing anymore this season, he's expected to be back 100% by next season. Isaiah Polomau is also out for the rest of the season after he dislocated his shoulder during the Stanford game, and he's going to have surgery. This is the same shoulder that he needed surgery on last season due to injury. Hopefully these Trojans will have a speedy recovery. Back to you at the desk.
The USC defense this week will be without senior linebacker Porter Gustin, but only for the first half. He's going to be serving a suspension for a targeting penalty in the Texas Longhorns game, but the Trojans could use him after they gave up almost 400 yards of total offense to Texas last week.
This week in practice, the defense will look to contain Washington State quarterback Gardner Minshew, who last week threw for over 470 yards. Coach Clay Helton says it's Minshew's effectiveness that makes him so unique.
They're really good at the passing game, and the quarterback does a tremendous job of checking the ball down. You know, you look at their second leading receiver right now, and it's the running back. So they're very effective at staying on the field and then getting people off.
That will definitely be an interesting storyline to follow come Friday night. But one of the defenders looking to stop him will be Cameron Smith. Earlier this week, Taylor Begley got out to learn a little bit more about him.
Hi, I'm Taylor Begley here with Cam Smith for Ask an Athlete, where I'm going to ask Cam as many questions as possible in 60 seconds. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. What's your go-to pump-up song on game day?
Oh, that's a tough one. Dreams and Nightmares, Miko.
What is your favorite NFL team?
The 49ers.
Favorite player of all time?
Luke Kuechly.
Your funniest teammate?
Funniest teammate. Probably next one.
Person who's helped your game the most?
Coach Clancy, Coach Nancy.
Favorite sport other than football?
Baseball.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite TV show?
Friends.
Favorite movie?
Lone Survivor.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. I don't know. That's a tough one.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Cam. And be sure to watch Cam and the rest of the Trojans on Friday night as they take on Washington State.
Well, discussing the success of the USC water polo team is a frequent topic on this program, and so today we bring in Keith DeMolter to kind of help break it all down. So, Keith, the team is 11-0 right now, so going forward, what's exactly going to be their toughest test?
Well, Aaron, the early part of this USC schedule has not been that tough particularly, but games against UC Davis and UC Santa Barbara were the only true test for the Trojans, and even then they still won by a combined 14 goals. But taking a look at their upcoming schedule, they take on a very good team in Pacific this Saturday at home. I see it being another Trojan win, but that one will be a lot closer than last week's 32-7 blowout over Concordia. Pacific played top-ranked Cal to close losses of 11-8 and 10-8, so make sure to watch out. Past that, the next couple of weeks should be cake for the Trojans until a road matchup with Stanford on October 6th that will likely give the Trojans some trouble. Either way, this team should be ready to handle all of those games and advance to the playoffs, even if they lose a couple games here or there.
Well, Keith, let's talk about these playoffs. They've made it all the way to the national championship game 4 consecutive times, and they've lost all 4 consecutive times, like the 4 Falls of Buffalo. So does this USC water polo team this year, do they have a chance to kind of reverse that fate a little bit?
As much as I'd like to say they can, I don't think they can. This team is incredibly young, and they have not found any consistency at the goalie position. Right now, they've played 4 different goalies, whereas last year, they relied on the outstanding play of McQuinn Barron, not to mention 20 underclassmen on this squad, so they are very young. We actually talked with redshirt junior Sam Slotobadian after last week's practice about how he's helping these younger guys on this very young team.
Just try to get all the guys behind us. We all have one common goal, and that's win a national championship. And I talk to him about every week, and we all have the same goal, and that's what we're going for.
A lot of youth and inexperience, but at the same time, a lot of potential for this very talented Trojan squad.
Well, Keith, you talk about inexperience. One of the guys that actually does have experience is Marko Vavic, kind of as a big star on the team. So what is it about Marko Vavic that kind of makes him so dangerous?
Well, aside from being from a family of Trojans in the water polo dynasty here at USC, his father, Jovan Vavic, is actually USC's head coach. Marko Vavic is one of the most physically talented water polo players that we have seen in recent years. A 6'6" frame and long arms allow him to create shots that others simply cannot. His wingspan also gives him the freedom to launch goals from all over the pool without being challenged defensively. He has a cannon for an arm and exceptional velocity on his shots. And even when he isn't scoring goals, he's helping out his teammates by drawing defensive attention and creating opportunities for others to find the back of the net. Simply put, he is one special player.
Well, Keith, thanks for joining us here on Sports Scene to kind of break it all down. We all know the water polo team usually makes a splash. Amy?
Thanks, Aaron. Women's soccer remains undefeated heading into their match this weekend against number 5 Pacific. Joining me now to discuss some predictions for their season are Natalie Reddington and Faith Bonds. Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ready.
So, all right, you guys can either agree or disagree with my statement. So let's get started. First up, women's soccer can continue their undefeated streak. Agree or disagree? Natalie, we'll start with you.
I think I disagree. So obviously it's the first time in history that they've had an undefeated streak. And I think they have some tough games coming up against Washington, Cal, Stanford, and their competition so far hasn't been super serious. So they've played UC Davis, UC Irvine, Cal Poly, who aren't ranked super high. So I think even for a team as good as USC's, keeping up the undefeated streak will be tough.
What about you, Faith?
I also disagree. They've been doing really well in their non-conference games, but they've got tough competition in Stanford, and they're really going to have to raise up their game in order to perform and keep that undefeated streak.
All right, well, next question. Will the women of Troy beat crosstown rival UCLA this season? Starting with you, Faith. Agree or disagree?
I'm going to reluctantly agree. Last year, USC lost to UCLA in overtime at UCLA, so I think it's anybody's call. It's going to depend on the day, going to depend on the situation, but it could go either way.
What about you, Natalie?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I would say half and half, because I talked to Coach Kadani this morning, and he says the USC team's in a good position right now, but when I watched them play this morning, they're passing well under pressure, they're recovering quickly, they're recovering well, and have a lot of shots on goal, so I think it could go either way.
And then my last question, does this women's soccer team have the potential to win a national championship this year? Natalie, we'll start with you.
We were talking earlier about USC's undefeated streak, and I think while that's great, Stanford also is a really big competition. They haven't lost a game since August 25th, 2017, so that's a whole year. Stanford also has 5 players on the Matt Herman Trophy watch list, which I think could be, they have a lot of good players. So I think Stanford might have the up there.
I think Natalie is being a pessimist. I'm going to agree that USC definitely has a potential to be going after that national title. They started off the season number 12, and they've already risen through the standings to number 3 rank. So I think as long as players like Leah Pruitt and Penelope Hawking can stay healthy, stay aggressive, scoring goals, USC has just as good a shot as any.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Natalie and Faith. I'm now going to hand it off to Nick and Aiden, who have a preview of tonight's USC-UCLA volleyball matchup.
Thanks, Amy. Tonight at the Galen Center, USC's women's volleyball team takes on crosstown rivals UCLA for an exciting nighttime matchup.
The 17th ranked Bruins are coming into tonight with a 5-2 record, with both of their losses coming on the road. Both teams will open up their Pac-12 campaigns and are looking to start off the season with a win over their rival. Expect UCLA to play some tough defense as they rank in the top 30 nationally in both digs and blocks.
So obviously UCLA is a huge rivalry, but we're really looking forward to all the fans coming out. We love playing in that atmosphere with all the high intensity, and we're just going to really stick together and focus on our technique and what the coaches have taught us so far, and hopefully come out with a win.
This is a rivalry matchup, and these teams always draw out the best in each other. The Trojans are playing well this season, and this will be a fairly straightforward win, I think, with a score of 3-1, Aiden.
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking USC, they're going to go in there, they're going to pull out the brooms on UCLA and sweep them 3-0.
I think that's a pretty bold statement, Aiden.
2 players to watch out for are Kalia Lanier and Brooke Botkin. These 2 have been the driving forces of the offense all season long and will look to continue this against the Bruins. Botkin leads the team with 186 kills and is averaging 4.82 points per set. Lanier is close behind with 172 kills and leads the team in service aces with 15.
This year in the Pac-12, 7 teams are ranked in the top 25, including number 2 Stanford, who USC plays on the road early in Pac-12 competition. Playing in one of the country's toughest conferences, USC will have their hands full. Most teams are ranked or are close to being ranked this season, and it will be a tough test all season for the 14th ranked Trojans.
The Trojans continue conference play this Sunday with a road matchup against Colorado before traveling to Palo Alto for a big match against Stanford.
Trojans continue conference play this Sunday with a road matchup against Colorado before traveling to Palo Alto for a big match against Stanford next Friday. They return home October 4th with a 4-game homestand, including a matchup with 12th-ranked Oregon. And so, Amy, back to football now. With Washington State coming this weekend, head coach Mike Leach certainly brings that team in. And Leach is known for that air raid offense, but sometimes he's also known for things he kind of does off the field as well.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting guy. So let's take a look at some of the crazy things he's said.
So when Washington State fans stormed the field last year after beating USC, Leach said the environment was, quote, like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
And before that game, reporters described USC as a second-half team. Leach's response, quote, well, so are we. Aaron, I think it's fair to say, regardless of the outcome, Leach will have something noteworthy to share with the media.
And I think it's interesting comparing Leach and Clay Helton as far as their relationships with the media. Both have good relationships. Not one approach is better than the others. They're both fine. But Leach tends to kind of spice it up, whereas Helton kind of keeps it smooth and easy. We'll see if that happens this week. And we thank you right now for tuning into the first episode of this season of Sports Scene. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Annenberg Media Sports. For now, I'm Aaron Glazer.
And I'm Amy McCray. We'll see you next week.